The IAEA reports, particularly the most recent one, together with the statements of the agency officials, clearly indicate the Iranian nation is committed to its international obligations and at the same time persistent in pursuing and exercising its legal rights. The recent IAEA report clearly stresses that Iran's cooperation with the IAEA has been far beyond its treaty obligations and has been proactive. It points out in paragraph 55 that, I quote, the agency has recently received from Iran additional information similar to that which Iran had previously provided pursuant to the additional protocol as well as updated design information. As a result, the agency's knowledge about Iran's current declared nuclear program has become clearer, unquote. The IAEA Director General yet again stressed Iran's robust cooperation with the agency in his remarks after the release of the report by saying that, I quote, Iran in the last few months has provided us with visits to many places that enable us to have a clearer picture of Iran's current program, unquote. In its latest report, the agency has also stressed in several instances, including in paragraphs 11, 18, 24, 34, and 53, the conclusion that, I quote, Iran's statements are consistent with other information available to the agency or are not inconsistent with its findings, unquote. Undoubtedly, the full implementation of the work plan and thus resolution and closure of the outstanding issues have eliminated the most basic pretext and allegations on the basis of which Iran's peaceful nuclear program was referred to the Security Council. The Security Council's involvement and the actions it has taken so far in this regard have been unwarranted and unconstructive and have only damaged the credibility of the IAEA. Iran's peaceful nuclear program should be dealt with solely by the agency. I wish to draw your attention to this very important point, that based on the very last paragraph of the work plan, I quote, the agency and Iran agreed that after the implementation of the work plan and the agreed modalities for resolving the outstanding issues, the implementation of safeguards in Iran will be conducted in a routine manner, unquote. Therefore, the consideration of Iran's peaceful nuclear program in no way falls within the purview of the Security Council. In fact, based on the IAEA reports and as a result of Iran's cooperation and closure of the outstanding questions, not only there remains no single reason or shred of legality for any new action by the Council, but also the legality of the previous actions of the Council have become more abundantly clear. But also the illegality of the previous actions of the Council have become more abundantly clear. It's a longer statement, so it makes me tired sometimes. Mr. President, much has been said about suspension. Iran cannot and will not accept a requirement which is legally defective and politically coercive. History tells us that no amount of pressure, intimidation, and threat will be able to coerce our nation to give up its basic and legal rights. We have never attempted to impose our will on others. Equally, we will never allow others to impose their unjust demands on us. We do not consider this call for suspension legitimate or for, among others, the following reasons. One, as we have stressed over and over again, no government has the desire or the authority to suspend the exercising of its legal rights of its nation, any demand from nation to do so would be politically incorrect and legally flawed. 2. Neither in the IEA statute nor in the NPT safeguards, nor even in the additional protocol, enrichment and reprocessing are prohibited or restricted. There is even no limit for the level of enrichment in the said documents. 3. In all resolutions of the Board of Governors of the IAEA, suspensions was considered as a non-legally binding, voluntary, and confidence-building measures. 4. Suspension was in place for more than 2 years, and the IAEA, in each and every report from November 2003 to February 2006, repeatedly verified that Iran fully suspended what it had agreed to suspend. During this period, it became clear that those insisting on suspension were indeed aiming to prolong and ultimately perpetuate it, and consequently deprive the Iranian nation from exercising its legal rights. 5. The attempt to make the suspension mandatory through the Security Council has been, from the outset, against the fundamental principles of the international law, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and IAEA Board resolutions. The Security Council resolutions, which made the suspension mandatory, also flout the stated position of the overwhelming majority of the international community. 6. Unquestionably, with resolving the outstanding issues, with the IAEA reported conclusion of non-diversion in Iran's nuclear activities, and with Iran's nuclear activities under the full and continuous monitoring of the agency, there remains no pretext for the illegal request for suspension. 7. The Security Council's decision to coerce Iran into suspension of its peaceful nuclear program is also a gross violation of Article 25 of the Charter. While member states have agreed, in accordance with the said article, to accept and carry out the decisions of the Security Council in accordance with the Charter, the Security Council could not coerce countries into submitting either to its decision taken in bad faith or to its demands negating the fundamental purpose and principles of the Charter. 8. We need to enrich uranium to provide fuel for the tens of nuclear reactors that we are building or planning to build in order to meet the growing needs of our country for energy. There has never been, nor will there ever be, guarantees that our needs for fuel will be completely provided for foreign sources. It is worth mentioning that there is no single document as legally binding international instrument for assurance of nuclear supply to guarantee the fuel for nuclear power plants. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Security Council today is about to make an unjust and irrational decision on Iran's peaceful nuclear program. History will ultimately render its judgment over the behavior of the Council. Even regardless of the Council's unfair actions toward Iran today, as the representative of a founding member of this organization, I wish to express our grave concern and dismay regarding the path that the Security Council has chosen and pursued.